and in this position, Toddson sacrificed the rook! Rook takes h7, that is such a gangster move. Yo, what is up guys and gals? Welcome back to another chess video. This is me, JK Jax, back at it again. Today, I'm going to be showing you some Elite Chess Arena games. Now, what on earth is Elite Chess Arena? In my chess club, okay, our chess club is called One Pongo, the Pongo Coast Chess Club, which is in Singapore. And every Friday, we play tournaments. And the top two of each of those Fridays will go into this premier tournament called the Elite Chess Arena. It's to show that, you know, it's only the best of the best of the best playing against each other and see who comes out as the champion. It's up to 8 players, so 4 weeks of every Friday, and they play in a round robin format, which is similar to FIDE candidates. And there is prize money involved, so that's why there's an incentive in participating in this tournament. Of course, we have 8 players in this tournament, and we have to introduce them one by one as we go through. We have Xuan, who is a d4 player. He's really solid, but can also be aggressive when he wants to. He has that switch, that kill mode switch. We have Kaden, who is a up and rising star. He is underrated, man. Even though with only 1 or 2 years of chess experience, he is outplaying a lot of the better players here. We have Toddson, who is a very solid player. Some people say he is the Singaporean Capablanca because he just trades everything down, keeps things simple for him, and just gets things done. He just gets the job done every single time. Clean conversion, clean endgame conversions. If I were to put my $1,000 bet, alright, I am homeless, and if I were to put $1,000 bet for someone to convert an endgame, I would put my money on Toddson, alright. Chok Ju, I would say his playstyle is unique, but still a very exceptional chess player. I cannot even begin to describe how his playstyle is. I would say it's towards positional as well. And then we have Felix, the Max Verstappen of chess. Pongo Chess, which is my club, of course. We have Hans, who is a dark horse, I would say. He is underrated. He plays shogi, but also plays chess, and he's really good at it. He's surprisingly good. When you first hear his rating, you might be a little bit surprised. 1600. But when you play against him, no, hell no, he does not feel like a 1600. He feels like a 2600. Alright. And then we have Cheryl, who is, yes, it's a girl, but girls can play chess, and she's really good. She's a really solid positional player and finds ways to escape herself. And then you have a punching bag. But of course, I don't know who he is. We will know him at the end of the video. At the end of this series, not this video. There's too much to cover, alright? So let's get it started. The intro is kind of long, but now you get to know each of these players. Alright. So the first game, we have Felix versus Hans. Felix, as we mentioned, the Max Verstappen of Singapore chess, and Hans, the dark horse. Who will win this game? Let's find out. E4, C5, we have a very theoretical battle, some Sicilian bullcrap, and now C4 Maroxybine against Accelerated Dragon. Let's see how well these two will match up. We have the big, fast, speedy dragon versus the Vine spell from Clash Royale. It's Baby Dragon versus Vines. The evil speedy dragon versus Vines. Let's see who will win. Vines, of course, is white, and the evil speedy baby dragon is black. It's called the Accelerated Dragon for a reason, right? Bishop E3, D6, Knight C3, and a lot of moves played out. And here, the only notable thing in this game is Hans played a very weird move, Knight E5. This move doesn't help him at all. It doesn't really develop a piece. It just puts the knight in the center, but it can obviously be booted out with moves like H3 and eventually F4, kicking this knight out of position for the rest of the game, which you can see how it turned out for him. The knight now needs to go back. I mean, yeah, if you have to make backward moves, you know you're cooked, bro. So that's exactly what happened in this game. Felix plays knight d5, completely fine. And after a few moves later, yeah, f3 kind of blocks your light square bishop, but does solidify your position, which is good. And e5, as you can see, under bad position, it's more prone for the side with the worst position to make mistakes. And this is a prime example, just e5, right? It seemingly does something, but this is what we call a one mover threat. What does e5 do? e5 weakens d6 and blocks in the dark square bishop for the sake of just kicking away the knight. And the knight just calmly retreats back to c2. In the future, the knight can of course reroute to maybe b4. Maybe it can play moves like knight e1 to d3 to f2 and go on this absolute spiritual journey with g4. I don't know, it's up to, or even down here and up here, it's up for white to decide because his position is so good. Knight h5, so trying to open up the bishop, and sort of prophylaxis, sort of predicting that Felix is trying to go for bishop h6, but in this type of positions, when you know that black's bishop is bad, don't trade that shit off. Okay, if your bishop is better, just keep it. You can play moves like bishop b6 and already put a bishop on a very nice outpost, on a very nice diagonal, and maybe opening up even more squares for your own pieces. Instead, Felix plays rook d1, which is also a very good move. In the future, putting pressure against this weakness that Hans created with the move e5. And after a few moves, yeah, Hans makes more mistakes. And unfortunately, at the end of this game, yeah, white gets the most solid thing you've ever seen. He has consolidated everything, and all is good. All is good. Now you may be interested to see what happens if black actually sacrificed his queen here. After takes, it seems that black is up 2 rooks for a queen. But moves like this occur. Knight to e7 check. Maybe not even knight e7, you can even probably trade the bishop off, and you have threats of checkmate. So black is forced to take, and now still he has to defend threats of checkmate, such as knight to e7 here, with moves like, yeah, it's very hard for white to defend already. Hard for black to defend already. Moves like this, fall victim to like even this, and maybe even you're probably even able to just trade here, takes, and you can see that the position is not very good for black already. There's a lot of pawn weaknesses in black's position, and it's not an, if you're looking for a Legoland experience, this is not it for you, bro. This is not it. And after a few moves later, we have f5 trying to attack the solid pawn structure. Felix further solidifies his pawn structure with rook e1. And after a few moves, after a few trading of material, you can see that Felix picks up all the pawns. He's up 2 pawns, and then Hans blunders, and that's how he won the game. Alright, good game by Felix. It's a very nice positional masterclass, and good try from Hans. I really appreciate him going out of his comfort zone to try new Sicilian positions. Sicilian is one of the most complicated openings out there, and for him to have the absolute balls of steel to try this kind of thing, respect it, bro. Alright, we have Toddson versus Chokju up next. We have 2 absolute solid monsters. We have Capablanca on one end, and we have Chokju with the most unique playstyle I've ever seen. So we have a Queen's Gambit decline, and already off to a crazy start. Capablanca plays knight takes on d4. Now, I'm referring to Toddson, alright, not the actual Capablanca. So knight takes d4 is a very interesting move. I've never seen this before. Bishop b4 check. So sometimes to confuse the opponent, you must confuse yourself. Prime example. Okay, knight c3, and then c5 is a mistake because of just knight b5. And after a trade of material, now you have to stop knight c7 check. And for example, if you try something like knight a6, this pawn falls, and not only this pawn falls, development is much easier for white. White is ahead in development. Black still needs like a few more moves to get his pieces out, and even so it can get booted out with moves like e5. So not a very pleasant position for black already right off the bat. So we have king takes d1, bishop takes c3, b takes c3, and king d7. And now white took the pawn here. And although yeah, the engine gives it an inaccuracy, it doesn't matter because white is still ahead in development, black's pieces are still stuck in the 8th rank. So e6, knight e3, knight f6, f3, and slowly but surely you see that everyone's getting their development done. Knight takes c4, knight takes c4, bishop e6, knight e3, knight h5, king c2. Everyone putting their rooks on open files, bishop c7, and a few more moves followed suit. Over here, there's a nice tactical shot by white, g3, putting the knight on the rim and having absolutely no vision whatsoever. This knight is out of the game. The only way for him to even come back into the game is probably knight f2, but then other than that, there's no more future for him. There's actually no more squares. That's the saddest part. There's no squares for this knight to jump after f2. So black has to probably give up a pawn or two to activate his knight again. So see? Rash decisions lead to rash results. So instead in the game, Toddson played h4, which undermines the pawn on g5 because this pawn on g5 is overloaded now. It's being attacked and defended, but Chokju can always recapture back with the pawn. Seemingly Toddson wants to pair this up with g3, in my opinion, but Chokju just simply plays the move knight g6. Now, at first glance, this seems like an okay move, but in this position, there's h5. Yeah, and this is already dead loss. Knight e7, bishop d6, the knight is hit twice, the knight repositions on c6. I like Chokju still trying to fight back and not resigning, because what happens when you don't resign? More chances for your opponents to make blunders. King takes c3. Now, it's not a blunder by any chance. White is still slightly microscopically winning, but now there is this nice move, knight e5. And now white has to try and draw this endgame. This position is pretty much a dead draw because of this variation, king d4, knight c6, king d4, knight d5, and the position repeats itself. And you get a draw. Nice. Chokju, under time pressure, of course, did not find a move. I mean, under time pressure, it's hard to find good moves, alright? It's very natural. And don't beat up yourself for it, because in this game, Toddson was also low on time and did not see knight e5. Which black played knight e5, but black lost on time, so he still lost. Alright, round 2. Felix is playing against Cheryl, and Felix has the white pieces once again. e4, e5. We have a scotch by Felix. We have bishop c5 by Cheryl, bishop b6, and so far we have transposed into some sort of, I think it's a typical Scotch-ish position, where you see a lot of these kind of like knight b3 maneuvers and stuff like this. And slowly but surely, f5, man, Felix is on an absolute roll. He just wants to go for the throat. He wants to go for the king. g4, like, I mean, a pawn sacrifice. And the idea is that if you take, I'll play rook g1 and absolute steamroll you, because you go back. But now knight d5 as well. You hit this and this, and the knight cannot take because there's this always looming checkmate threat on g7. So yeah, you cannot take this pawn. And Cheryl took the pawn anyway. And now, of course, Cheryl does find a nice way to defend herself with knight e5. But now knight d5 attacking the queen. Queen h4. Knight takes c7, wins a pawn. And a few moves later, even though Cheryl does fight back, you see, Cheryl is a very counter-attacking player. She always tries to find a way to create chances out of thin air, even in terrible positions like these. But Felix, man, a freaking monster. Queen takes d6. It is a mistake. It is a mistake because of queen 2. It is a mistake because queen takes d6. And after this trade, yeah, black is up a clean piece. So that is the mistake over there, and then Cheryl had a chance to win, but she took the rook. That is so heartbreaking. And that blunders because queen takes h6. And after g takes h6, takes the rook. And this is not a very pleasant position for black to play. Black has a lot of threats to handle here. White can just jump in like this. The white can just climb up. Alright, next game. Chokju versus Xuan. Chokju with the white pieces plays e4. Xuan, he is a big fan of what we like to call the Black Lion defense. Alright, if you have seen what is the Black Lion's defense, this is the Black Lion's defense. It's like the Pirates, but on cocaine. Not crack, cocaine. Because this is like the drunk's man version of the Pirk defense. Knight f3, c5, and you can see that as long as white plays like something like a Yugoslav attack structure, okay, this is not a Yugoslav attack anymore. What in this position, white played the e5, trying to break open the center. Nice move by Chokju, by the way, a great blow. And here Xuan takes the pawn. I'll give you 5 seconds to figure out the best move. In this position, Chokju played bishop takes f7, sacrificing the bishop, because if you take, there will be a fork, and I will win your queen. You take, I will take, attacking your rook. If you take, I will take your bishop. Crazy. Instead, Xuan played king f8 to avoid the complications, but after f takes e5, oh my days, still sacrificing the bishop, by the way. You cannot take the bishop, because if you take the bishop, now there is, of course, e takes f6, bishop takes f6, and yeah, the position is pretty much just wraps. Knight e5 followed by bishop takes on knight e5 followed by knight takes g4 is a clean piece up for white here. Yeah, clean piece, clean conversion, clean everything, bro. And now we have Cheryl versus Hans, the two underrated chess players going against each other. d4, d5. And we have a London system. Cheryl, man, I did not expect you to join the dark side and play London of all things. I mean, well, the London system has to be like one of the worst inventions known to mankind, known to chess, but it's still such a great beginner opening. Like I mean, I can't help it, bro, but to admit that it is a good beginner chess opening. But the Vienna is infinitely times better. That's why you should watch my videos. Alright, knight c6, and we have a dark squared bishop trade, opening up the h file. And so far, the players are in a very weird, I've never seen a London position like this before. What is this? This is so weird. It's pure unfiltered reaction, by the way, from me. What is going on? What is going on? Wait, what? Now there's mid threats being threatened. The bishop is gone, so white is just winning. Cheryl is winning. That's crazy. But how did he draw this game? Okay. Alright. Knight g5. You can't even take. It's pinned. Insane, and you're threatening this. Cool. Here white should have just simply played this, and after takes, yeah, white is up a full rook. Instead, Cheryl became greedy and took a free pawn. Cheryl, man, get stop putting your fingers in the cookie jar. Okay, got caught red-handed because queen g4. An amazing move, amazing resource to draw the game, I think. Yeah, it's a great drawing resource, because after queen takes b7, now there is f3, mate is being threatened, and if you try something like this move, then you could probably get yeah, you could just get the back shots from the back rank with moves like rook c2, as well as rook to c8, followed by this rook trade, and white needs to try to find only moves to defend himself. I mean, this sucks. But Cheryl should have won this game. But it's a very good game from her. You can see how her London prep, not really a prep, but more so like her positional understanding played off. Like, for example, g4. I mean, oh my stars. g4 is a very nice way to use your weaknesses as your strengths. You're using your double pawn as a way to counter attack. And then Hans, with his great positional understanding as well, knows that if white is going to attack on the flank, what black should do is attack in the center. You always meet attacks on the flanks with attacks in the center, unless your center is locked. And I think the only thing Cheryl needs to work on is to her calculation, just calculate a little bit more, because you got it in the bag. Here it's just +5. Yeah, she's a really great chess player, and it shows. Sometimes it's normal for humans to fuck up, and that's what exactly happened in the game. You get a drawn position. So white has no attack, black has attack, but white can defend. That's why it's a draw. Alright, next up. Yeah, it's all. I think this punching bag guy, he's like the worst player of this tournament, and he actually performed really badly. He only had 1 win and 6 whopping losses. The only win was against Cheryl. I mean, I have never seen anyone this bad before, but the fact that he beat Cheryl revolts me. How did he even beat Cheryl? I don't even understand. Alright, Toddson versus Felix. Of course, the Capablanca versus the Max Verstappen of Singapore chess. We have 2 titans at it. Let's see who will win this game. Now, Capablanca had the white pieces, and Felix with the black pieces. This is going to be a very interesting game. Well, it's still going to be a very interesting game because we have a c5. We have a Benoni in this day and age, and the Benko Gambit with b5. Takes. Now it's just a pure, unfiltered Benoni. What? Wait, pause. d6 and then e5. I have never seen anything like this before. Closing down this bishop for the rest of the game. Crazy. Castles. Whoa. I thought like white would do something like knight a5 and knight b6, but I am not the Capablanca / the freaking Max Verstappen of Singaporean chess. You have titans like these with different positional approaches compared to mine. I wouldn't say mine is wrong. I would say mine is valid, but I think theirs is like slightly more solid and better, I guess. What crazy positional moves like Queen c8 here. And here a lot of weird things happen. Knight f4. Wow. That's a decent attempt, but I don't think it works. Okay, yeah, you do get a piece trade. You do win the light square bishop, but white's light square bishop was kind of bad anyway, because most of white's pawns are on light squares. Like in the center is white squares, and sure, that did remove like an important defender of the 3 pawns that are blocking your dark square bishop. There are still other active pieces that are actually defending the pawn, the 2 pawns that are holding the position together for white. So black needs to find a way to trade these 2 somehow, which I don't think he has the firepower and the material to do it. Queen c2, the queen is alone, diving into the position. F takes e5, and rook b8 by Felix. But then Toddson simply just plays knight b7. That is a gangster move. White wants to take this pawn, and you can't play this because white will take with the knight with check and win your rook. So knight b6, and now knight takes d6, and black's position just falls apart. And from here on now, it is a clean conversion. And what did I tell you? I would bet $1,000 for Toddson to just have a clean conversion. Let's take a look at this. Insane. And a checkmate on g5. Toddson, man, if I were to bet $1,000 on Toddson to win an endgame, I would win 10,000 back. Alright, next game. Enough glazing. And this is the last game of day 1. We have Felix Shensong, Hans Chokju, and Cheryl Toddson. Now you will notice there's only 3 games here because Caden versus the punching bag, the game wasn't really recorded. So I don't have it with me, but all you gotta know is Caden actually beat that punching bag, which is crazy. The punching bag does have years of experience in chess. I would say he's a decent chess player, but still a bad one. And somehow Caden beat him. I mean, Caden is a really good chess player, and it shows. He can beat someone that's, doesn't have as... He can beat someone that has more experience than him, and underrated, right? Toddson was playing white, and Cheryl was playing black. And here Toddson played the London system. London spammers, man. Bishop f5, mirror London. And this game was an absolute slobber knocker. What the fuck? I mean, crazy start. 95, bishop e2, g, and already after knight bd7, g4 by white. An absolute strike to the black king. Is a provocative move. Okay, you're forcing black to respond. Bishop g6, h4, and black just takes the knight, which ended up creating more problems for black. Knight, pawn, bishop e4, f3, and black does have nice tactics here, but it doesn't really help his case. Just take the bishop. Just take the bishop. It's just hanging. It's just hanging. Knight takes d5, and yeah, I mean, here takes, and white is up 2 pieces. Crazy, bro. Queen to f6, c3, queen 6 f4, queen f3, queen trade, queen e5, castles, pawn takes, queen takes, queen a5. King b1, defending the position, king h8, and now h6. Insane. White wants to take this and do this, or this, and this, and this wins for white. Black plays f5. And in this position, h takes g7, king takes g7, queen takes e6, f takes g4, queen takes g4, king h8, and in this position, Toddson sacrificed the rook! Rook takes h7. That is such a gangster move, because if you take, there is ladder mate. Wow, spectacular, insane rook sacrifice. The puzzles paid off. It shows right here. Alright, day 2 of ECA will be covered in the next part of the video. So, see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.